you guys. Hello, hello. Welcome in. How are you guys doing today? I didn't put music on. I forgot. Hold on. Ah! I knew I forgot something. I was looking at all my stuff and I'm like, what did I miss here? There's something that I'm missing. Well, I found it. Also, my post. Well, we're here. I think that means that Rose is ready to talk. I'll undeafen and unmute and she can hear me.
Hello. I was sitting
Hello.
here, like, usually takes her a little bit. Was like, we're just gonna chill here.
And then
It'll
I
be
saw I
fine.
saw you redeem the hello, so I was like, I'll just unmute. I forgot to send out my Twitter and Blue Sky, so I'm gonna send that out. But also, real quick, hello, Alex. Congratulations on the first with 175 firsts. It's insane, bro. Insane
Guys, I
amount of
can't wait for
firsts.
10 seconds for
No,
me to get a first for once.
no, it's literally it's before even my chat box knows that I'm live. Like it's before everything. It's like he just the instant it's live. It's like he's
Oh, I
spamming
know.
it before or something. I don't know.
Even on Mondays, when I'm like sitting there going, okay, for once I can get a first. I can have a first for once. Nope. Nope. There's an Alex.
There's an Alex. There's an Alex waiting for a first. And also, hello, Drek. Hello, Will. Thank you for the hydrate and the posture check. And thank you for the lurk as well. Enjoy your lurk, Will. And hello, Volo. Hello, Dante. Fuck you, Alex. We're here with Rose. We can do a book talk. It's been a while since we've done it, too.
It,
I gotta,
it
I gotta
has
type
been a
this
hot minute.
book for it.
Turn my,
Yeah, it's been a
turn my
long
voice
minute.
down a little bit, but yeah. It, it's been a little bit, but we're here.
We made it.
Did you actually finish the rest of the book, or did you just read the three
No,
chapters?
just the 3 chapters.
Okay, so
What are we reading? We are reading Howl's Moving Castle by uh
Diana Wynne Jones.
thank you. And we've been reading through several chapters of it. If you guys are in either mine or Rose's Discord, I don't know what your Discord channel is. If you guys want to see the updates for the bookcast spoiler alert streams in the Choose Your Interest tab, just make sure you have literature selected, the books. That's where I update the info for it.
Mine is in Untitled Bookcast because I still haven't even changed that. Edit channel. Spoiler alert bookcast.
Close
It's
enough.
not untitled anymore.
Nice. Untitled book.
There we go. Yeah, Untitled Bookcast. There we go. It's got a name.
Yay!
Okay, spoiler alert bookcast that I've put in 2 posts on. It's fine. I'm bad at updating things. Although then again, audio, you and I keep going back and forth, and this one got rescheduled how many times? Like 4?
A lot.
But we're here now.
We're here and we made it. We
Okay,
made
so
it to
what
stream.
happened?
Hold on, I didn't finish sending out my Twitter yet.
Oh my gosh.
Give me a second. Give me a second.
Okay, I'll do a brief recap.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so it looks like the last thing that happened was Howl was still ill, I believe, and he was crying in bed, and she found the window in his bedroom that didn't look out over the courtyard like she thought it would.
Oh
It actually is like
yeah.
magic window that looks out over his house in Wales, and she can see his niece and his sister. And she's got that new dog who's secretly a man. They're just like, you're not really a dog. Something's wrong. They're like, I think it was a dude. So there's him, and Howl just starts laughing, and he's mad at the dog because I think the dog kind of pushed her towards the window. And yeah, that's
Pretty much where I
kind of
left
the way
off,
it is.
right? I have to
Huh?
go back to what chapter? 15.
So that was 14. That was the end of 14.
That's right.
So we are in 15 now.
I honestly, whenever I started reading it today, I was like, I forgot the dog was there. I'm not even gonna lie. And And I was like,
Yeah,
wait
the
a
dog
second, I
man.
forgot they have a dog. Yep, the dog man.
Yep.
And isn't the dog man one of her sisters like crushes or whatever?
I think he had a crush on her, but uh, I think yes. Like I think kind of, sort of. They weren't like in a relationship or anything. I know that he was kind of enamored of her, and that's why he also doesn't like Howl.
Gotcha.
But that's the dog when they were at Mrs. Fairfax's. That's the dog that they were chasing around trying to keep him from biting Howl.
Yeah. It's been a while around for a while.
Yeah, at least like probably I'd say like what, 4 or 5 chapters.
Yeah.
But I think he just came in like the last chapter or two to the castle. Okay, are we ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, chapter 15, in which Howl goes to a funeral in disguise. So obviously, the Witch of the Waste is still after him. Um, so they're
Yes.
trying to. He wants to go to the funeral no matter what because Mrs. Penstemon was his teacher. She's the one who kind of like really believed in him,
Mhm.
and he was actually quite heartbroken by her passing.
Yeah.
So we begin. The dogman curled up heavily on Sophie's toes when she went back to her sewing. Perhaps he was hoping she would manage to lift the spell if he stayed close to her. So yeah, they all know he's bespelled.
Mhm.
Sophie doesn't know how to fix him. Um, but she like the dog just kind of sticks really close with her. When a big red-bearded man burst into the room carrying boxes of things and shed his velvet cloak to become Michael. So Michael's got the disguising cloak on.
Yes.
Um and it's funny because the dog man likes Michael. Like
Mhm.
he's very chill with Michael.
He just doesn't like
But
Howl.
yeah, definitely does not like Howl. I hope he stays, Michael said. I've always wanted a dog, which is funny because it's not even a real dog.
Right? It's a
Like,
dude. Like
eh. You're like, I hope he doesn't stay a dog forever.
yeah.
Okay, so poor Howl is still sick. He comes downstairs wrapped in his blanket, and Sophie grabs a hold of the dog. But this is interesting. So Sophie stopped sewing and took careful grip on the dog. But the dog was courteous to Howl too. He did not object when Howl fetched a hand out of the coverlet and patted him. So now all of a sudden the dog's chill with him.
Yeah, I didn't really understand why cuz the dog like hated him.
I think I don't know. I think it's like a bit of the moment that he and Sophie had. Like I think the dog's realizing that like Howl's not a bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, and just based on how, because the dog was there when Howl and Sophie kind of interacted,
Mhm.
and Howl was more like, "Oh my gosh, like I thought I could keep you away from this window. Like you're learning my secrets." And I think because he was more like friendly with her, maybe.
mhm.
But either way, he's not trying to take a chunk out of him, or maybe it's like he's taking pity because he's sick.
Yeah. That was my initial thought.
Yeah, because he's
Or he's
he's
just trying to
croaking.
get in good with him like I don't know, cuz he does want to, not be a dog and Howl is a wizard.
Break the spell. But well, I mean, I was gonna say Michael's a wizard too. He's just not as experienced.
Yeah. Michael's like in
Mm,
training though.
okay, so there, Michael was looking for a new location because what was it? Was it Port Haven that they had the fight in? So now that the witch knows the Port Haven location, they're
Mhm.
trying to relocate that magic door,
Yeah.
and so that's what Michael was out doing, and I got everything, said Michael, and there's a real piece of luck, Howl. There's an empty shop for sale down in Market Chipping. It used to be a hat shop. Do you think we could move the castle there? So, sounding a bit familiar?
There's no way it could
so,
be the hat shop that, was hers.
so interestingly enough, the last time Sophie was at the hat shop, her stepmother was running it,
Hmm.
and now it's for sale. And I'm assuming it's the only hat shop or one of the only hat shops in Market Chipping. And so now it's like, why is the stepmom selling the house?
Well,
Like,
clearly
what's
it's
going
like
on?
she can't make hats. I mean, they
Let's
also
see.
lost their main hat maker. I mean, lots of reasons that it could be
Sophie
selling.
just snuck away and just like, they'll figure it out. Mm, okay. Yeah, so he said, depending on how much it costs, this is Howl. It depends on how much it costs, he said. I'm quite tempted to move the Port Haven entrance there. That won't be easy because it will mean moving Calcifer. Port Haven is where Calcifer actually is. What do you say, Calcifer? So Port Haven is the actual like location that the
Hmm.
inside of the castle is based off of, and then they just kind of like shift through the empty buildings. So they're going to have to magically move like all of it with Calcifer, because Calcifer is kind of the base of all their magic.
Yeah.
And so, of course, they ask, what do you say, Calcifer? It will take a very careful operation to move me, Calcifer said. He had become several shades paler at the thought. I think you should leave me where I am.
Poor
He's
Calcifer's
just like,
nervous.
eh.
He's
he's
scared.
like, he's like, please don't pick me up. And here we get Sophie's comment on the shop. So Fanny saw in the shop, Sophie thought, as the other three went on discussing the move, and so much for the conscience Howl said he had. But the main thing on her mind was the puzzling behavior of the dog. In spite of Sophie telling him many times that she could not take the spell off of him, he did not seem to want to leave. He did not want to bite Howl. He let Michael take him for a run on the Port Haven marshes that night and the following morning. His aim seemed to become a part of the household. Again, they are picking up another stray. Howell's
As
just
per
that
usual.
type of person. Yeah, as per usual, like you do. Like Howell's so just like easygoing with just accepting strangers and whatnot into his house. He's like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's chill. Oh, you're my new maid. Oh, okay.
All right, sure. New dog. Okay,
Oh,
cool. Neat.
oh, there's a homeless boy on my stoop. Hey, he can come help me for a while. I guess he lives here now.
I love it.
It just happens so often.
Yeah.
So yeah, the dog's just trying to kind of like ingrain itself. Let's see. Though if I were you, I'd be in upper folding, making sure to catch Letty on the rebound, Sophie told him. Howell was in and out of bed. Oh, and then it just like, oh, he was in and out of bed the next day. And it's funny because when Sophie's there alone, Howell doesn't really bug her for things, but when
Hmm.
Michael's there, Michael's like running up and down the stairs. Like he really
Yeah.
works Michael. But with Sophie, he's just like, just let me
Well, he
die.
knows that like Sophie is just not going to help him out. Like
Sophie's just
she.
mean and heartless.
Yep, totally.
And so, like, Michael's making the preparations to move the castle and whatnot. He has to like measure everything, and
Hmm.
in between, Howell kept appearing, robed in his quilt and clouds of dust, to ask questions and make announcements, mostly for Sophie's benefit. Let's see. Sophie, since you whitewashed over all the marks we made when we invented the castle, perhaps you can tell me where the marks in Michael's room were. No, said Sophie, sewing her 17th blue triangle. I cannot. Howell sneezed sadly and retired. Shortly he emerged again. Sophie, if we were to take that hat shop, what would we sell? Sophie found that she had had enough of hats to last a lifetime. Not hats, she said. You can buy the shop, but not the business, you know. So I think she still tried to avoid, like, letting him know, yeah, hey, I'm the girl from the hat shop.
Yeah.
Like, she's still kind of, like, avoiding letting him too close.
Which is kind
So
of
she's
odd
kind of
to me
making,
cuz like at one in one hand like couldn't he just break the spell and she'd be like, "Yeah, I used to own that hat shop. Like I used to work there."
well,
Give him the
so the thing
clues.
is, going all the way back, she can't say that she's bespelled. That's part of the spell.
She doesn't have to
So
say
she
she was
can't,
bespelled, but she could
yeah.
say that she worked at the hat shop.
I think it's also kind of embarrassing for her because she did run into Howl like the
Yeah.
first in the like very beginning of the book. And
Yeah.
I think cuz and she was always like, "Oh, like I'm the plain sister." Like I think she doesn't consider herself pretty, and with their first interaction being kind of like that embarrassing cuz he's like very casual and he's just
Yeah.
like, he wants to go somewhere with her and she's just like absolutely terrified of him.
Yeah.
And I think she thinks like, "Oh, if he figures out exactly who I am, then he's not going to be kind because I'm not pretty enough." Because that was the whole thing about him, Howl eating girls' hearts, but he only
Mhm.
eats pretty girls' hearts, and so she's just like, "No, I'm safe."
I forgot about
I
that.
think she's
Yeah.
just yeah, I think she's just too nervous about him actually knowing who she really is
Mhm.
because she can hide behind this gruff, crusty, like old lady exterior, but the moment she becomes the real Sophie, she doesn't have that shield, and
Mhm.
she can't say what she wants. She's
Yeah.
back to just being Sophie, not old lady Sophie. But yeah, she's no more hats. She's like, I'm done with
No
the hats.
hats.
Apply your fiendish mind to the matter, said Howl, or even think if you know how. So antagonistic towards her.
I love their comments to each other.
I I love their banter.
It's
Like their
great.
arguing is just like, oh, it's peak. I
It
love it.
is. It's wonderful.
5 minutes later, he came down again. Sophie, have you any preferences about the other entrances? Where would you like us to live? Sophie instantly found her mind going to Mrs. Fairfax's house. I'd like a house with lots of flowers, she said. I see, croaked Howell and marched away again. The next time he appeared, he was dressed. That made 3 times that day, and Sophie thought nothing of it until Howell put on the velvet cloak Michael had used and became a pale, coughing, red-bearded man with a large red handkerchief held to his nose. So she realized Howell was going out then. You'll make your cold worse, she said. I shall die, and then you will be sorry, the red bearded man said, and went through the door with the green knob down. So backtracking just a little bit. So they're bantering. He calls her fiendish and like teases her, or think if you know how. But then
Mhm.
he comes down and like genuinely asks her, like, do you have any like idea where you want us to live? Like, do you have any suggestions? Like, he's genuinely trying to get her input and her preference on, like, and he said where we are going to live.
Mhm.
So he's counting her in their little makeshift family.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, for us to live. So it's not like, for me or me and Michael or like a place for the castle, stuff like that. He specifically says us. And
Yeah.
I think he considers her more family than she might even think.
I also
I just like the way he
feel
went.
like part of me is like I'm wondering if Howell is saying us because he doesn't want to how do I say it? He wants to do something nice for her, but he doesn't want to show that he's doing it just for her because
Oh, of
of the
course.
fact that he's asking like what she would want for it and everything. So I feel like he's just trying to be like, this is for us, but really it's like, this is for you. What house would you want? Like, you know what I mean? But instead he's saying
I feel
us to
like that
also make it not obvious.
I feel like that could definitely be like what's going on because when he is nice, he always has to throw in like a tease or something to like make it feel less serious.
Yeah.
So he's always downplaying or as Sophie says, slithering out of things. And so anytime he's done anything nice, he always like has to throw in like either a self-disparaging remark or like something funny or
Mhm.
he can't ever just do something nice just to do something nice. It's just
Yeah.
like no. I think they would rather die than admit that they actually care about each other.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So, okay, he leaves and he's hacking and coughing and he leaves.
He's dying.
And then he's dying. And then he comes back. I took the shop, he told Michael. It's got a useful shed in the back and a house at the side, and I took the lot. I'm not sure what I shall pay for it all with, though. What about the money you get if you find Prince Justin? Michael asked. You forget, croaked Howl. The whole object of this operation is not to look for Prince Justin. We are going to vanish. And he went coughing upstairs to bed, where he shortly began shaking the beams, sneezing for attention again. So he buys the whole property, not just the shop,
Mhm.
which like I don't know if he knows there's a connection between her and the shop. Like
Feel
at
like
this
he
point it's just
does. I feel like he does. Like I feel like he knows more than he lets on.
oh yeah, for sure.
So I feel like he definitely knows more of the situation with her in the shop and yeah.
Well, and he is by Mrs. Pentstemon's own admission, he's the best student she's ever had. So he has like really strong magic. So there's
Yeah.
no way that he doesn't know some of these things. Like the fact that she's bespelled or like the dog man, his clothes. Like
Yeah.
there's no way he doesn't know just because his magic abilities are so much stronger.
Mhm.
Also, hello Sinister. I don't know why audio sounds like a cyborg.
Do I sound like that's because I'm a bot? Do I still sound like a cyborg? Is it like it's probably
It might
internet
be my
connection?
internet,
Yeah, I was gonna say it might be
probably.
internet just struggling a little bit.
Let's see. Okay, where are we? Hmm. Michael had to leave the spell and rush upstairs again. Sophie might have gone, except for the dog man got in the way when she tried. This was another part of his odd behavior. He did not like Sophie to do anything for Howl. Sophie felt this was fairly reasonable. She began on her 85th triangle. Jeez.
I would lose my mind.
Right?
She's
She's just
working
sitting here
hard
sewing
on
all
it,
these
man.
triangles.
She's been doing it for a while.
Mm-hmm. Like, she's been working on this since, like, the middle of the book.
Yep.
Michael came down cheerfully and worked on his spell again. He was so happy that he was joining in Calcifer's saucepan song and chattering to the skull just as Sophie did while he worked. We're going to live in market shipping, he told the skull. I get to see. I get. I can go and see my Letty every day. Is that why you told Howl about the shop? Sophie asked, threading her needle. By this time, she was on her 89th triangle. Yes, Michael said happily. Letty told me about it when we were wondering how we'd ever see one another again. I told her he was interrupted by Howl, trailing downstairs in his quilt again. So there was ulterior motives in suggesting the house and market shipping.
Yes.
He wanted to see Letty, who is actually Martha.
Yep.
Um, let's see. Yep, so he was interrupted by Howl. This is positively my last appearance, Howl croaked. I forgot to say that Mrs. Pentstemon is being buried tomorrow on her estate near Port Haven, and I need this suit cleaned. He brought the gray and scarlet suit out from inside his coverlet and dropped it on Sophie's lap. You're attending to the wrong suit, he told Sophie. This is the one I like, but I haven't the energy to clean it myself. You don't need to go to the funeral, do you? Or you don't yeah, no, that's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
Michael said anxiously. I wouldn't dream of staying away, said Howl. Mrs. Penstemon made me the wizard I am. I have to pay my respects. But your cold's worse, said Michael. He's made it worse, said Sophie, by getting up and chasing around.
Honestly, yeah.
Michael's just like, your cold's worse. And she's like, he's made it worse. Because she told him, don't go out. You're going to
Yep.
make it worse.
She told
And
him.
now he's just like on the verge of death.
Yep.
So the gray and scarlet suit is the one that Sophie hates because she bespelled it to attract girls. So now she's just like, no, not the gray and scarlet suit. That's been a point of contention like this whole time since she did it.
I love it. She
Sophie's like, no,
accidentally
I
made a
want
suit that
this one.
attracts them even more.
Well, yeah, she's like, dang, what did I do? What have I done? She's like, I created a monster. Um, but yeah, so Howl is determined to go to the funeral because Mrs. Penstemon was his teacher. She taught him everything he knew,
Hmm.
and I think this is another part of seeing more into Howl because if he was truly just worried about his own skin, he wouldn't bother. He would
Yeah.
stay as far away from Port Haven as possible. But now he's like, no, like I have to go. He's like, I'm going no matter what,
Yeah.
all because he truly valued her and cared about her.
Hmm.
Uh, Howell at once put on his noblest expression. I'll be all right, he croaked, as long as I keep out of the sea wind. It's a bitter place, the Pentstemon estate. The trees are all bent sideways, and there's no shelter for miles. Sophie knew he was playing for sympathy. She snorted. And what about the witch? Michael asked. Howell coughed piteously. I shall go in disguise, probably as another corpse. He's so dramatic.
He is
Like
so
I
dramatic.
I love Howell's flair for the dramatic because he's just so outlandish sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I love it. I love his comments like that. So
Yeah.
good.
Like everyone in this book, like I mean, aside from Michael, because Michael's just kind of he is but a lad. Like
Yeah.
everyone has this like sarcastic, jaded sense of humor. And it's really funny seeing that because like Howl, Calcifer, and Sophie all have this same kind of like wry sense of humor, and it's
Hmm.
so funny seeing them play off against each other. Let's see. Then you need a winding sheet. It's either winding or winding. I'm pretty sure it's winding. I don't know. And not this suit, Sophie called after him. Howl trailed upstairs without answering, and Sophie did not protest. She now had the charmed suit, and yeah, the charmed suit in her hands, and it was too grand a chance to miss. She took her scissors and hacked the gray and scarlet suit into 7 jagged pieces. That ought to discourage Howl for wearing it. And then she got to work on the last triangles of the blue and silver suit, mostly little fragments from around the neck, and it was now very small indeed. It looked as if it might be a size too small for even Mrs. Penstemon's page boy. Michael, she said, hurry up with that spell. It's urgent. So she's so determined to get him not to wear the suit that
Hmm.
she cuts it into pieces.
Like, you are not wearing the suit ever again.
Half an hour later, he checked things off his list and said he thought he was ready. He came over to Sophie carrying a tiny bowl with a very small amount of green powder in the bottom. Where do you want it? Here, Sophie said, snipping off the last threads. She pushed the sleeping dogman aside and laid the child-sized suit carefully on the floor. Michael, quite as careful, tipped the bowl and sprinkled the powder on every inch of it. They both waited, rather anxiously. A moment passed. Michael sighed in relief. The suit was gently spreading out larger. They watched it spread and spread until one side of it piled against the dog man, and Sophie had to pull it further away to give it room. After about 5 minutes, they both agreed that the suit looked Howl size again. Michael gathered it up and carefully shook the excess powder off into the grate. Calcifer flared and snarled. The dogman jumped in his sleep. Watch it, said Calcifer. That was strong. Sophie took the suit and hobbled upstairs on tiptoes with it. Howl was asleep on his gray pillows, with the spiders busily making new webs around him. He looked noble and sad in his sleep. Sophie commenting on him whenever he's sleeping.
Y'all.
Like, she has such an eye for him. Like, she's always watching him. She's like,
Mhm.
she pays so much attention to like the details of Howl. And in her internal monologue, she's always like complimenting him or like kind of she pays a lot of attention to him for somebody
She
who's not
admires him.
interested.
She admires him a
She
lot,
does.
definitely. Yeah.
She would never admit it. She would rather pull a
No,
tooth
she'll
than admit
never
it.
admit it, but she does.
Like she thinks in the beginning, she thought he was like entirely too handsome. Like she's
Mhm.
always commenting something about how like attractive he is. I'm like, Sophie, honey, just like admit it. You can like him, I
She can't admit it.
promise.
She can't do it. Not yet.
Not now, not ever. Let's see. Sophie hobbled to put the blue and silver suit on the old chest by the window, trying to tell herself that the suit had not gotten larger since she had picked it up. Still, if it stops you going to the funeral, that'll be no loss, she murmured as she took a look out of the window. The sun was low across a neat garden. A large man was out there, enthusiastically throwing a red ball towards Hal's nephew Neil, who was standing with a look of patient suffering, holding a bat. Sophie could see the man was Neil's father. Snooping again, Howl said suddenly behind her. Sophie swung round guiltily to find that Howl was only half awake, really. He may even have thought it was the day before, because he said, uh, teach me to keep off the envy singing. That's all past, part of the past years now. I love Wales, but it doesn't love me. Megan's full of envy because she's respectable and I'm not. When he woke up a little more and asked, "What are you doing?" So the whole years past thing is part of that poem slash
Mhm.
like curse that's on
Yeah.
Howl, and so the whole thing with Megan, once again, Howl is kind of he's seen as the irresponsible one who just goes and does whatever he wants. Megan thinks he's a deadbeat,
Mhm.
and he thinks that Megan envies him because he can do whatever he wants, and she's the respectable one who has to like stay put and be good and do what's expected of her.
Yeah.
Let's see. So after he asks what she's doing, just putting out your suit for you, Sophie said, and hobbled hastily away. She's like, run away. Hal must have gone back to sleep. He did not emerge again that night. There was no sign of him stirring when Sophie and Michael got up the next morning. They were careful not to disturb him. Neither of them felt that going to Mrs. Pentstemmon's funeral was a good idea. Michael crept out on the hills to take the dogman for a run. Sophie tiptoed about, getting breakfast, hoping that Howl would oversleep. There was no sign of Howl when Michael came back. The dogman was starving hungry. Sophie and Michael were hunting in the closet for things a dog could eat when they heard Howl coming slowly downstairs. Sophie, Howl's voice said accusingly. He was standing holding the door to the stairs open with an arm that was entirely hidden in an immense blue and silver sleeve. His feet on the bottom stair uh, were standing inside the top half of a gigantic blue and silver jacket. Howl's other arm did not come anywhere near the other huge sleeve. Sophie could see him in that arm out. Sophie could see that arm in an outline, making bulging gestures under a vast frill of collar. Behind Howl, the stairs were full of blue and silver suit, trailing back all the way to his bedroom. Oh dear, said Michael. Howl, it was my fault. Your fault? Garbage, said Howl. I can detect Sophie's hand a mile off, and there are several miles of this suit. Sophie dear, where is my other suit? And once again, he's like, oh heck no. He's like, don't you dare take the blame for this, Sophie. He's like, I know this was you. And yet he's peeved and he still calls her Sophie dear.
I love it.
Sophie hurriedly fetched the pieces of the gray and scarlet suit out of the broom cupboard where she had hidden them. Howl surveyed them. Well, that's something, he said. I'd expect it to be too small to see. Give it here, all 7 of it. Sophie held the bundle of grey and scarlet cloth out towards him. Howl, with a bit of searching, succeeded in finding his hand inside the multiple folds of blue and silver sleeve, and working it through a gap between 2 tremendous stitches. He grabbed the bundle off of her. I am now, he said, going to get ready for the funeral. Please, both of you, refrain from doing anything whatsoever while I do. I can tell Sophie is in top form at the moment, and I want this room the usual size when I come back into it.
I
I
love
love,
it.
I just love the way he talks to them. And he's
Right?
like, you two, don't do anything while I'm gone. And then the little jab at Sophie. He's like, I want this room the usual size when I come back into it. He's always and like he always knows when Sophie's done something. He's like, no, 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 this has Sophie written all over it. He set off with dignity to the bathroom, wading in blue and silver suit. The rest of the blue and silver suit followed him, dragging step by step down the stairs and rustling across the floor. By the time Howell was in the bathroom, most of the jacket was on the ground floor, and the trousers were appearing on the stairs. Howell half shut the bathroom door and seemed to go on hauling the blue or hauling the suit in hand over hand. So I just imagine, like, he's trying to act like all graceful and dignified, just like trailing in this giant suit. And then he starts reeling it in when he's in the bathroom. Oh my gosh. Sophie and Michael and the dogman stood and watched the yard, or stood and watched yard after yard of blue and silver fabric proceed across the floor, decorated with an occasional silver button the size of a millstone and enormous. Regular rope like stitches. Uh, let's see. There may have been nearly a mile of it. I don't think I got that spell quite right, Michael said, when the last huge scalloped edge had disappeared round the bathroom door. And didn't he let you know it? Said Calcifer. Another log, please. I love how Calcifer just like pipes up every now and then. It's just like, yeah, funny. Log, please. Hmm. Michael gave Calcifer a log, Sophie fed the dog man, but neither of them dared do anything much except for stand around eating bread and honey for breakfast until Howl came out of the bathroom. They're like chastised children. They're just like, we're just not gonna do anything. Like, I don't want to make him mad. He came forth 2 hours later out of a steam of verbena scented spells. He was all in black. His suit was black, his boots were black, and his hair was black too, the same blue raven black as Miss Angorian's. His earring was a long jet black pendant. Sophie wondered if the black hair was in honor of Mrs. Pentstemon. She agreed with Mrs. Pentstemon that black hair suited Howl. His glass green eyes went better with it, but she wondered very much which suit with the black one really was. So he has the ability to like change the appearance of things. So now she's just
Yeah.
like, which suit is he wearing? But still, she's like, he looks pretty good with black hair. I gotta agree with Mrs. Pentstemon
Yep.
because that was a comment that she had made after she had seen Howl. She's
Mhm.
like, she said that she liked his black hair best.
Yeah.
So now she's like, yeah. He conjured himself a black tissue and blew his nose on it. The window rattled. He picked up one of the slices of bread and honey from the bench and beckoned the dogman. The dogman looked dubious. I only want you here where I can look at you. Howl croaked. His cold was still bad. Come here, Pooch. As the dog crawled reluctantly into the middle of the room, Howl added, You won't find my other suit in the bathroom, Mrs. Snoop. You're not getting your hands on any of my clothes again.
You know she was gonna go look for the suit as soon as he
Oh,
left.
yeah. Oh, yeah. He's just like, "You're not gonna find it." They know each other so well,
Yeah, they do.
and that's the funny thing, as much as they, like, claim to not like each other, they know each other so freaking well.
It's just banter though, you know?
Let's see. Sophie stopped tiptoeing towards the bathroom and watched Howl walk around the dog man, eating bread and honey and blowing his nose by turns. So he he she was literally on her way to go try to find the suit.
Yep.
He's just like, "Nope, nope." "What do you think of this as a disguise?" he said. He flicked the black tissue at Calcifer and started to fall forward onto his hands and knees. Almost as he started to move, he was gone. By the time he touched the floor, he was a curly red setter, just like the dog man. The dog man was taken completely by surprise, and his instincts got the better of him. His hackles came up, his ears lowered, and he growled. Howl played up, or else he felt the same. The two identical dogs walked round one another, glaring, growling, bristling, and getting ready to fight. Sophie got the tail of the one she thought was the dog man. Michael grabbed for the one he thought was Howl. Howl rather hastily turned himself back. Sophie found a tall black man standing up in front of her and let go of the back of Howl's jacket. She did not grab the dog man. But I think it's interesting that he studied the dog
Mhm.
to kind of figure out how it was bespelled and everything, and like he took on the appearance of the dog for his disguise,
Yeah.
which just goes to show exactly how like powerful he is, because he is sick AF with this
Yep.
cold, and he has been for a while, but he still is able to literally transform himself and his clothing.
Mhm.
Let's see. Um, the dogman sat down on Michael's feet, staring tragically. "Good," said Howl. "If I can deceive another dog, I can fool everyone else. No one at the funeral is going to notice a stray dog lifting its leg against the gravestones." Howl, please don't pee on anybody's graves.
For real.
He went to the door and turned the knob blue down. "Wait a moment," said Sophie. "If you're going to the funeral as a red setter, why take all the trouble of getting yourself up in black?" Howell lifted his chin and looked noble. "Respect to Mrs. Penstemon," he said, opening the door. She liked to think of all the detail. Yeah, she liked one to think of all the details. He went out into the street of Port Haven. So, like, literally, that's an excellent question. Like, why would he spend 2 hours getting himself ready, using the magic to change all of his clothes and like, his hair and everything to black, only to become the dog?
I mean, I get it. It's like a, respect thing. Even if he's going as the dog, he still took the time and effort to show the respect for getting ready for the funeral for her, you know?
Yeah. I just think it's kind of funny that, like, Sophie's like, "So why?" And, he is very honest with her in these moments. Like, when it comes to respecting his teacher, like, he's been very honest and kind of less Howl about it. Like,
Yeah.
he didn't make any, like, jokes or anything about, like, when she asked about why he was wearing black. He's very somber and serious in those moments.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have a lot of serious moments because he's Howl,
Mhm.
but I was just thought that was kind of interesting. Which brings us to chapter 16, in which there is a great deal of witchcraft. Let's see. Which chapter's this?
This is the one where Howl and Howells, of course, gets to the funeral and the witch who he knew would be at the funeral happens to be at the funeral
Mm,
and they just
yeah.
started to realize that some chaos was starting to erupt. Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to remember. I'm like, is they've already gotten into the giant magic fight, right?
No, this is the chapter with the giant magic fight.
Oh, okay. So I had already been ahead then, like in my
Yeah.
brain. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
no, this is the
that makes
chapter with the
sense.
giant magic fight. Yeah.
Okay. Several hours passed. The dogman was hungry again. Michael and Sophie decided to have lunch too. Sophie approached Calcifer with a frying pan. Why can't you have bread and cheese for once? Calcifer grumbled. All the same, he bent his head. So, that's another thing. Calcifer doesn't listen to anybody, but he listens to Sophie. And
Mhm.
he hates having people cook on his head, but he lets Sophie do it.
Mhm.
Mm, yeah. All the same, he bent his head. Sophie was just putting the pan on top of the curly green flames when Howl's voice rang out hoarsely from nowhere. Brace yourself, Calcifer. She's found me. Calcifer sprang upright. The frying pan fell across Sophie's knees. You'll have to wait, Calcifer roared, flaming, flaming blindingly up the chimney. Almost at once, he blurred into a dozen or so burning blue faces, as if he was being shaken violently about and burned with a loud, throaty whirring. That must mean they're fighting, Michael whispered. Sophie sucked a slightly burned finger and picked slices of bacon off her skirt with the other hand. Staring at Calcifer, he was whipping from side to side of the fireplace. His blurred faces pulsed from deep blue to sky blue and then almost white. One moment he had multiple orange eyes, the next rows of starry silver ones. She she had never imagined anything like it. So this part's kind of like crazy to like imagine,
Yeah.
like exactly how like when you're trying to picture it in your head, like this is kind of scary. Like
Right?
the different colors and like the violent like whipping about and like he's a flame, he's a fire demon. Like this is like
Mhm.
fire's a pretty freaking scary thing, and he's just like going back and forth between the different colors, then the eyes, like his eyes
Mhm.
keep changing. I'd be like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Let's see. Something swept overhead with a blast and a boom, which shook everything in the room. A second following, or a second something followed with a long shrill roar. Calcifer pulsed nearly blue black, and Sophie's skin fizzled with the backblast from the magic. Michael scrambled for the window. They're quite near. Sophie hobbled to the window too. The storm of magic seemed to have affected half the things in that room. The skull was yakkering its jaw so hard that it was traveling round in circles. Packets were jumping. Powder was seething in jars. A book dropped heavily out of the shelves and laid open on the floor, fanning its pages back and forth. At one end of the room, scented steam boiled out of the bathroom. At the other, Howl's guitar made out of tune twanging. So like this is like so much magic that it's affecting all of the stuff in the room.
Mhm.
Like could you imagine like and Sophie said that she could feel what did, let's see. What exactly? And Sophie's skin fizzled. So I imagine the feeling of this much magic, especially to Sophie who is a magic user.
Mhm.
I feel like it would feel like right before a storm and you can
Mhm.
feel like electricity.
That's
Like
exactly
you
what I
can
was
kind of
thinking too, yeah.
you can yeah, you can kind of feel the static electricity in the air. I imagine that's kind of what it would be like.
Yeah, exactly.
So imagine like all this stuff is just going absolutely crazy, like your house is possessed and you can feel just this energy in the air. I
Yeah.
really like this whole chapter because it really does a good job of like setting the scene and really getting that mental picture of what's happening.
Mhm. I can agree. I
Okay.
think this one was a very good, like, descriptive chapter for, like, the overall chaos that was taking place.
Yeah, it's just the absolute like complete and utter
Yeah.
chaos.
Like, there wasn't much really going on, but the
Yeah,
description of it
just the
was
fight.
yeah.
But it is very descriptive and you really like feel that you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And Calcifer whipped about harder than ever. Michael put the skull in the sink to stop it from yakkering itself onto the floor, while he opened the window and craned out. Whatever was happening was maddeningly just out of sight. People in the houses opposite were at doors and windows, pointing to something more or less overhead. Sophie and Michael ran to the broom cupboard, where they seized a velvet cloak each and flung them on. Sophie got one that turned its wearer into a red-bearded man. Now she knew why Calcifer had laughed at her that in the other one. Michael was a horse, but there was no time to laugh just then. Sophie dragged the door open and sped into the street. So you have this red-bearded man and a horse just showing up out of this house.
Love it.
Like, I love the little bit of humor in with the chaos.
Right?
Yeah. They sped into the street, followed by the dogman, who seemed surprisingly calm about the whole thing. Michael trotted out after her with a clatter of non existent hooves, leaving Calcifer whipping from blue to white behind them. The street was full of people looking upward. No one had time to notice things like horses coming out of houses. See, totally normal. Totally normal. I would be distracted with all the
Nothing
stuff
out
that's
of the
going on too.
ordinary.
Sophie and Michael looked too and found a huge cloud boiling and twisting just above the chimney tops. It was black and rotating on itself violently. White flashes that were not quite like light stabbed through the murk of it, but also as soon as Michael and Sophie arrived, the cloud of magic took on the shape of a misty bundle of fighting snakes. When it tore in two with a noise like an enormous cat fight, one part sped yowling across the roofs out to the sea, and the second went screaming after it. Like this is this is a lot going on.
Yeah.
Like it's a cloud, it's a black cloud. No, it's a bundle of snakes. Like
It's just
it,
chaos.
yeah, just complete like nonsensical chaos. And it's funny because when you're reading it, it sounds so outlandish, and when you're just kind of reading
Mhm.
it out loud, but in the context of the book as you're reading it, like it's horrifying.
Yeah.
Like, could you just imagine the people of Port Haven just looking out and seeing this? It's just like,
Oh,
oh my
yeah.
gosh, like there's a giant black cloud like right above the houses, and now it's snakes. I'd be absolutely horrified.
Right? Honestly, yeah.
Some people retreated indoors then. I would have too. Sophie and Michael joined the rush of braver people down the sloping lanes to the dockside. There, everyone seemed to think the best view uh, was to be had along the curve of the harbor wall. Sophie hobbled to get out along it too, but there was no need to go beyond the shelter of the harbor master's hut. Two clouds were hanging in the air, some way out to the sea on the other side of the harbor wall. The only two clouds in the calm blue sky. So there's that little juxtaposition of the sky is very calm, but there's this giant angry cloud. Or I guess two of them. It was quite easy to see them. It was equally easy to see the dark patch of storm raging on the sea between the clouds, flinging up great white topped waves. There was an unfortunate ship caught in that storm. Its masts were beaten back and forth. They could see spouts of water hitting it on all sides. The crew were desperately trying to take in the sails, but least one at least had torn into flying gray rags. Can't they have a care for that ship? Someone said indignantly. So that comment, they know that it's magic. They know that these people are fighting and that it's a magic fight between these people, and now they're like,
Yeah.
what can't they watch out for the
That
ship?
one was crazy to me. I'm just like, are you serious? You see all of this chaos happening and you're worried about the one ship? Like, what?
Yeah, like out of everything happening, you're just like flying snakes, totally fine. Giant magical storm in the middle of the ocean, totally fine. Hey, watch for the boat.
Watch out for that boat. How dare you? Like, what? Such a
uh,
random, that was such a
yeah.
random, like, addition.
Then the wind and the waves from the storm hit the harbor wall. White water lashed over, and the brave persons out on the wall came crowding hurriedly back to the quayside, where the moored ships were heaving and grinding at their moorings. Along all of this was a great deal of screaming and high singing voices. Sophie put her face out looked into the wind beyond the hut where the screaming had come from and discovered that the raging magic had disturbed more than the sea and the wretched ship. A number of wet, slithering looking ladies with flying green brown hair were dragging themselves onto the harbor wall, screaming and holding long, wet arms out to more screaming ladies tossing in the waves. Each one of them had a fishtail instead of legs. Confound it, said Sophie. The mermaids from the curse. So slowly but surely, all of the stuff mentioned in the poem slash curse is
Mhm.
coming true. And here are the mermaids.
Yep.
And Sophie's like, shit. Sophie's just like, dang it, there's another one.
And the curse, remind me again, what happens with the curse whenever it gets like fulfilled?
I
What's
don't
supposed to
exactly
happen?
know.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if it's actually been mentioned, and I don't know
I'm pretty
where.
sure it was mentioned. I just don't remember what
Let's
it was. Like Howl
let's.
said what was gonna happen, but yeah, no,
I
it's been a
think
minute since we read it.
I think it's more of a prophecy that like after all these things happen that it's like he's gonna meet his doom kind of.
Okay.
Let's see. So I think this is the last verse. Yeah, since you have the first three verses in your hand, let's see. So I think maybe not the last part. I think there's something after this. I'm like trying to flip through because I know that it's in here. Um, do we have the whole? Did we even get the whole poem?
We did.
I think we did at one point.
Um
I just can't manage to find it. But the part that I did find, if thou beest born to strange sights, see things invisible to see, ride 10,000 days and nights till age snow white hairs on thee. Thou, though when thou returnest, wilt tell me all strange wonders that befell thee, and swear nowhere lives a woman true and fair. So I know that there's like, where's the ending? It's here somewhere. Wait. That's Sophie's notes. Did we ever get the whole thing? Because
yeah,
now
we
I'm looking
did.
for.
No, we
Like
definitely did.
I'm looking like right in the middle where it should be, but I see like Sophie's notes on page 179.
Was that far back.
Well, because remember they have to go and get um they had to go and get the poem. And then 220 is the one where I just read. Why
I
am I
should have
not
marked the
finding it?
page or something, man.
Like I'm flipping through like page by page and I'm just not seeing it. Just that one segment. Maybe
Maybe
he talks about it?
I might have found it. Hold on.
Am I blind? I'm probably blind.
Oh no, wait, maybe we didn't get all of it. Okay, I did
I
find
was gonna
the
say, I was
page
like, I
220. Page 220.
220 is the one I read, like I
That's one that
just
you
read.
found? Does that one have
Yeah,
mermaids
that's
in
the one I
it?
just read. Yeah, if thou beest born to strange sights, that's what I just read out loud.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever actually got the whole thing. Maybe Howl talks about it. Maybe that's why we don't get the rest of it in that like other type.
Text, yeah.
Maybe
Like
that's
I'm
why.
pretty
Maybe he
sure we've
tells
heard
her.
all of it.
Because I remember hearing about the mermaids.
Yeah, I do too. I'm gonna Google it. I'm gonna see if I can find it.
No, right? I'm like, I know that they talked about it. Because, like I said, I remember hearing about the mermaids. And I'm like, crap. I don't remember. This is what happens when you have really bad memory. I'ma Google it too.
Bro, I can't even
Uh,
find it on Google. It's
um, that's not what I don't need a whole like breakdown of.
yeah, that's exactly my problem. Like, I don't want to break down. I just want what the words are.
Also, you don't need any spoilers.
That's what I'm trying to avoid.
Um,
Maybe if I hold on.
okay, the witch's curse on Howl. Okay, let's see. Like I this like somebody breaks it down piece by piece. That's witch's curse. Okay, okay. Um, so it's by John Donne, titled "Song Go and Catch a Falling Star." Mm, I don't need AI to break it down. I just need. I just need.
I
I
just
just
need
need
the
what it actually
lines,
is.
man.
That's what I'm like. I just need the lines. Nope, that's. Ha! Ha 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 ha! Ha ha! I found
You
it.
find it? Nice.
Yes. Go and catch a falling star. Get with child and mandrake root. Tell me where all past years are, or who cleft the devil's foot. Teach me to hear mermaids singing, or to keep off envy stinging, and find what wind serves to advance an honest mind. If thou beest born to strange sights, things invisible to see, ride 10,000 days and nights, till age snow white hairs on thee. Though when thou returnest, wilt tell me all strange wonders that befell thee, and swear nowhere lives a woman true and fair. If thou findest one, let me know. Such a pilgrimage were sweet, yet do not, I would not go, though uh, yeah, though at next door we might meet. Though she were true when you met her, and last till you write your letter, yet she will be false ere I come to two or three.
Can you send that to me? Like, copy it, send it to me in Discord?
Yeah.
Okay. I know I'm gonna want to like look over that after we finish it and be like, where were all of these things that happened?
It's like not even real English. I'm like, what? Eh. Yeah, it's like written very strange, and so a lot of it's like,
Yeah.
what? Like, if somebody cursed me with this, I'd be like, okay, okay, crap.
Right? I'd be like, I don't know what you're
I'd be,
talking about. I guess I'm just screwed.
I'd be like, does the curse still count if I don't know what the heck it means?
Right?
So there's what it actually says, but apparently the mermaids. Where
So,
were
where was the
mermaids?
part with the mermaids? Where was that?
I like this
What did
is
it
a,
say?
where, I don't know.
I
Wait.
heard you say it. You mentioned the mermaid.
Teach me to hear mermaids singing, or to keep off envy stinging. It's in the first verse. So I don't know what any of that means.
Yeah, I don't know what that means either, to be honest.
I literally I would die. I'd be like, I guess I'm gonna die of this curse. I don't know what it means.
So they just see the mermaids like being tossed around in the water, and Sophie's just like, yeah, this is the mermaids singing
Well,
from the
so
pool.
that's the thing is like all these things have to come true.
Right.
And so, because Howell brings up that I think 10,000 days would put somebody at like 28 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I think, let's see, 10,000 divided by, we'll do 365. Yeah, so if you count leap days and everything, it's like 27 and change.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd have to be. That's why he's talking about like how old he is, because he'd be. I think he says 28, so their time might be a little different. I don't know. Let's see.
Was that the ride 10,000 Days and Nights? Because that's just like,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah. So he is 28 years old.
Hi, Charles. Welcome in. Yeah.
Yeah. So all of these things are like coming true, and so they see that as just
Just
another
another
sign
thing.
that yeah,
Makes
another sign
sense.
that the curse is being fulfilled. So it's like a checklist of things that have to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing before he meets his fate. I'm assuming. Because,
Yeah.
like I said, it doesn't really tell you what's gonna happen. Yeah, though at next door we might meet, though she were true when you met her, and last till you write your letter, yet she will be false ere I come 2 or 3. So my I don't know what it means, but it doesn't really specifically say exactly what's gonna happen.
Yeah. It doesn't really, yeah.
It's not specific
It's
enough.
there, but it makes no sense.
Yeah. So let's see.
Or I guess whatever the curse, maybe the curse that was like whatever his situation is with it will happen, but it doesn't necessarily specify what's going to happen. He just knows what's going to happen. These are just the signs for it, maybe.
Well, this curse was placed on him by the Witch of the Waste, which I believe he had already done. He and Calcifer were already in their pact by this time.
Yeah.
By the time she had cursed him. So he's got something funky going on.
Yeah.
Everyone realized the fight was not over yet. Oh wait, did I? I think I went too far. Let's see. Eh. Oh yeah, there we go. Can't they have a care for that ship? Okay,
So dumb.
so
Sorry.
okay, so we have the mermaids. She looked up at the two clouds. Howl was kneeling on the left-hand one, much larger and nearer than she would have expected. He was still dressed in black. Typically enough, he was staring over his shoulder at the frantic mermaids. He was not looking at them as if he remembered they were part of the curse at all. Keep your mind on the witch, the horse beside Sophie yelled. Could you just imagine? Like, you're sitting here in this magic massive fight, you're sitting on top of this giant cloud, you're fighting, and this horse is just like, don't forget! I think that would distract me more than anything.
That'd be
I'd be
so
like, talking horse said what?
I love
I
it.
would be distracted.
I would
Uh,
honestly too.
The witch sprang into being, standing on the right hand cloud with a whirl of flame colored robe and streaming red hair, with her arms raised to invoke further magic. As Howl turned and looked at her, her arms came down. Howl's cloud erupted into a fountain of rose colored flame. Heat from it swept across the harbor, and the stones of the wall steamed. It's all right, gasped the horse. Howl was on the tossing, nearly sinking ship below. He was a tiny black figure now, leaning against the bucking main mast. He let the witch know she had missed by waving at her cheekily. Of course. He can't take anything too seriously. So
No, no,
she's
of
just
course
like,
not.
"Yeah, I just lit his cloud on fire." And he's like, "Yoo-hoo, you missed. Good job. Let's piss off the witch."
Honestly, I liked that part.
The witch saw him the instant he waved. Cloud, witch, and at once became sav- all at once became a savagely swooping red bird, diving at the ship. The ship vanished. The mermaid sang a doleful scream. There was nothing but there was nothing but skulkily tossing water where the ship had been. But the diving bird was going too fast to stop. It plunged into the sea with a huge splash. Everyone on the quayside cheered. I knew that wasn't a real ship, someone behind Sophie said. I'm wondering if it was the same person who was like, why won't they have a care for the ship? And like, I knew it wasn't a ship.
Like, what comments to be making in the middle of all of this? You know what I mean?
Right? Yes, it must have been an illusion, the horse said wisely. It was too small. Talking horse.
Oh, yes, makes
As
sense.
proof Yep. As proof that the ship had been nearer than it looked, the waves from the splash reached the harbor wall before Michael had stopped speaking. A 20-foot green hill of water rode smoothly sideways across it, sweeping the screaming mermaids into the harbor, rolling every moored ship violently sideways, and thundering in swirls round the harbor master's hut. An arm came out of the side of the horse and hauled Sophie back towards the quay. Could you just
Could you
imagine? Like,
right?
this whole giant magic fight. All this crazy crap is going on, and all of a sudden, a hand sticks out at the side of the horse.
And drags an old lady away, like
No, 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 she's a red bearded man right
oh
now.
yeah, that's
So,
right.
so, an arm sticks out the side of a horse, grabs this old guy with the red beard, and is dragging him away. Just the absurdity. And the fact that it's like, it's pretty scary if you're imagining it in your head, and you're just like, but on paper, it sounds so absurd.
It sounds so ridiculous. But yeah, no, if that happened IRL, I'd feel like I was on drugs or something. Like,
I'd be like, I'm going home and taking a nap.
yep.
Sophie gasped and stumbled in knee high gray water. The dogman bounded beside them, soaked to the ears. They had just reached the quay, and the boats in the harbor had all just rolled upright when a second mountain of water rolled over the harbor wall. Out of its smooth side burst a monster. It was a long, black clawed thing, half cat, half sea lion, and it came racing down the wall towards the quay. Another burst out of the wave as it smashed into the harbor, long and low too, but scarier, and came racing after the first monster. Everyone realized that the fight was not over yet, and splashed backwards hurriedly against the sheds and houses on the quayside. Sophie fell over a rope and then a doorstep. The arm came out of the horse and dragged her upright as the two monsters streaked past in a scatter of seawater. Another wave whirled over the harbor wall, and two more monsters burst out of that. They were identical to the first two, except the scaly one was closer to the cat like one. Uh, and the next rolling wave brought two more, closer together yet. What's going on? Sophie squawked at this. Three paired race past. As this third pair raced past, shaking the stones of the jetty as they ran. Like, that's just. There's too much going on. Like,
It's
I
just
would literally just.
chaos.
I'd be like, I'm done. I'm
Yeah,
done.
I'd be out.
Like, the seawater and then like the monsters coming out of the seawater and like they literally
Mm-hmm.
describe them as being like scary. I'm like, yeah, I'd be like, no, 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 no.
No,
Let's
I'm
just turn and
done.
walk away.
I'm just gonna go home.
I'm like, I'm gonna move. We're
Yep,
moving.
time to
Burn it
go.
down.
It was nice being here. I'm done.
Illusions, Michael's voice said out of the horse. Some of them. They're both trying to fool one another into crashing the wrong one, or into chasing the wrong one. Which is who? Said Sophie. No idea, said the horse. Some of the onlookers found the monsters too terrifying. Many went home. See? They
Yep.
had sense.
They were like,
Others
yeah,
jumped
nope, this
down
ain't for me.
others jumped down onto the rolling ships to fend them off from the quay. So they're like, nope, we're going into the boats. Sophie and Michael joined the hardcore of watchers. Like these guys are so hardcore. Who set off through the streets of Port Haven after the monsters. First, they followed a river of seawater, with then huge wet paw prints, and finally white gouges and scratches where the claws of the creatures had dug into the stones of the street. These led everyone out to the back of the town, to the marshes where Michael and Sophie had chased the shooting star. By the time all six creatures were bounding black dots, vanishing into the flat distance. The crowd spread out into a ragged line on the bank, staring, hoping for more, and afraid of what they might see. After a while, no one could see anything but empty marsh. Nothing happened. Quite a few people were turning away to leave when, of course, everyone else shouted, "Look!" A ball of pale fire rolled lazily up in the distance. It must have been enormous. The bang that went with it only reached the watchers when the fireball had become a spreading tower of smoke. The line of people all winced at the blunt thunder of it. They watched the smoke spread until it became part of the mist on the marshes. They went on watching after that, but there was simply peace and silence. The wind rattled in the marsh weeds. The birds began to dare to cry again. I reckon uh, they must have done for one another, people said. The crowd gradually split into separate figures, hurrying away to jobs they had left half done. So it's kind of interesting that there's like they started running out of the town, and
Hmm.
then there was this big like explosion, and they're just like, well, I guess they killed each other.
Right? They're just like, yep, they're both dead now. They just
Yep.
give up.
Like, oh, oh. And just walk away. Sophie and Michael waited until the very last, when it was clear that it was indeed all over. Then they turned slowly back to Port Haven. Neither of them felt like speaking. Only the dogman seemed happy. He sauntered beside them so friskily that Sophie was sure he thought Howl was done for. It's like he hates Howl so much, but he's happy, so he must think that Howl's dead. Let's see. He was so pleased with life that when they turned onto the street where Howell's house was, and there happened to be a stray cat crossing the road, the dog man uttered a joyful bark and galloped after it. He chased it with a dash and a skitter straight to the castle doorstep, where it turned and glared. Uh, what is that word?
Which one?
Groff? I'm like, wait, what? The cat meowed. This is all I needed. It's Geroff. Like Groff?
Well, come to Google.
This this is all I needed. The dog backed away, looking ashamed. Michael clattered up to the door.
Wait, you said
Howl! He
G E
shouted.
R. Wait, what was it?
Geroff. It's at the top of 311.
Okay, it's a coagulation of the words "get off."
Ah!
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. Because obviously the cat's talking, it's Howl.
Don't mind me. I'm gonna
uh,
listen to how it's pronounced. That's definitely
yeah,
not how it's pronounced. There's no way.
how did it say it?
It said it was giraffe. I'm like, there's no way.
Okay. Michael clattered up to the door. Howl, he shouted. The cat shrank to kitten size and looked very sorry for itself. Very Howl. I am but a poor, abused kitten. And you both
So
look
dramatic,
ridiculous, it
even as a
said.
cat.
Oh, yeah. Open the door. I'm exhausted. Sophie opened the door and the cat crawled inside. The cat crawled to the hearth, where Calcifer was down to the merest blue flicker, and with an effort got its front paws up onto the chair seat. Then it grew rather slowly into Howl, bent double. Did you kill the witch? Michael asked eagerly, taking off his cloak and becoming himself too. No, said Howl. He turned round and flopped into the chair, where he lay looking very tired indeed. All that on top of a cold. So this is the thing. He also did this fight when he was extraordinarily sick.
Yep.
Like he's probably like 40% functioning, and he still gave the witch a run for her money.
Yep. And live to tell about it. Like,
Yep. Sophie, for pity's sake, take off that horrible red beard and find a bottle of brandy in the closet. Unless you've drunk it or turned it into turpentine, of course. Back to his normal self. Sophie took off her cloak and found the brandy in a glass. Hal drank one glass off as if it were water. Then he poured out a second glass, and instead of drinking it, he dripped it carefully onto Calcifer. Calcifer flared and sizzled and seemed to revive a little. Glass for his homie. Howell poured a third glass and lay back, sipping on it. Don't stand staring at me, he said. I don't know who won. The witch is mighty hard to come at. She relies mostly on her fire demon and stays behind out of trouble. But I think we gave her something to think about, eh, Casper? It's old, Casper said in a weak frizzle from under his logs. I'm stronger, but it knows things I never thought of. She said uh, she's had it 100 years, and it's half killed me. He fizzled a bit, then climbed further out of his logs to grumble. You might have warned me. I did, you old fraud, Howl said wearily. You know everything I know. Howl lay sipping the brandy while Michael found bread and sausage for them to eat. Food revived them all, except perhaps the dog man, who seemed subdued now Howl was back after all. Nothing like the dog disappointed in the fact that Howl's alive.
Right?
Casper began to burn up and look his usual blue self. This won't do, Howl said. He hauled himself to his feet. Look sharp, Michael. The witch knows we're in Port Haven. We're not only going to have to move the castle and the Kingsbury entrance now. I have to transfer Calcifer to the house that goes with the hat shop. Move me? Calcifer crackled. He was azure with apprehension. That's right. You have a choice between market shipping or the witch. Don't go and be difficult. Curses, wailed Calcifer and dived to the bottom of the grate. So I love how dramatic he is too. they're
Yes.
they're all just
They're
very
all
dramatic here.
dramatic. And then there's Michael. I feel like he's not as dramatic. He's kind of normal in this bunch. Somehow.
He he really is. Like I would say he's more sensible. I feel like he's more sensible than even Sophie is.
Yeah.
Cuz Sophie still has her irrational like belief that, Howl's some like evil heart eater. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's so determined to think the worst of him, even though he has proved by leaps and bounds that he is actually a very kind person.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of funny how Michael's the most sane of them all.
Yep.
Okay. Ah, Chapter 17, in which the moving castle moves house. I'm gonna let you take the lead on this chapter.
That's fair. So I'm gonna be real. I don't quite understand the moving. Like, I understand the moving to an extent, but I was very confused with like the
It's
castle
all
itself
like a giant
confuses me.
puzzle.
Yeah. It very much confused me, and I was kind of hoping that you would help explain
So
some of it.
the way that I understand it is there's one room that's actually the real room,
Right.
which from what Hal has said, that's Port Haven. So the room at Port Haven is the only room that actually exists.
Right.
The rest of the rooms are like portals that it's an empty like the house itself or whatever it is an empty building.
Mm-hmm.
And when they use the magic, they link them. And so when the door is turned down, they can access that area.
Right.
So when the door was green down, they could access Port Haven and like they could exit, walk around like they're in Port Haven. But if they were in like so if it was green side down and they were in Port Haven and somebody tried to go to the Kingsbury entrance, if they opened it, it would be an empty house. The magic has to be connected to that location at the time, and then they would have access to the room.
They're not actually in the moving castle. They're just in
No,
a house.
no, the castle itself is also, I believe, an empty room.
Have they been inside of like the castle itself? Or just in the house in Port Haven this whole time?
Well, no, because they were, that's when Sophie first, like,
Yeah.
met them.
Yeah.
So, but it's just, they're all empty vessels. The other three locations are just empty vessels unless the magic is activated.
So is it just like a door to the is there actually something inside of the castle, or is the castle just a door and
the
moving
castle
around?
is the castle, it has a room, but it's empty. Like it's a void.
Okay.
Just like they have to have an actual building to link to,
So why do they have the
but
castle?
because the castle can go out further into the marshes
Okay.
and they can use the magic to be in, like, quote unquote, in the castle
That's
to get
true.
away from one of the other locations.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'll see
they're
if I can
wanting
try
to
to understand then what they did
so
here
they're wanting
because
to move yeah, they're wanting to move Calcifer's permanent location to
right.
market shipping.
Right. And here, I mean, they, went about setting it up, uh, chalking every single corner of it. I'm guessing all the chalk that she had taken off, they're putting all the chalk back on to fix that. Like they had done it once before and they just never cleaned it off the first time.
I could just imagine Sophie sitting there twitching as they like dirty her clean floor and her clean
Right.
walls.
Oh, I could totally picture it. Um, and they're just pushing Sophie and the dogman aside, pushing them around, so that they can get the chalk markings all over the place here. I'm going throughout the chapter, kind of glancing through it again. Oh yeah, and then Howl and Michael race out into the yard where Sophie and the dog are just like chilling, and Howl's like, "Sophie," he shouted quickly, "what are we going to sell in that shop?" I love
Because
that
they
because
never
he's
had a
just
chance to
like,
figure it out.
they never figured it out. He's just like, "what do we sell?" And immediately flowers. And I love that no hesitation. He's just like, perfect. And then he just was gonna go and make a flower shop. Now I'm not gonna lie. So this whole after he decided that, flower shop is approved, he hurried over to the door with a pot of paint and a small brush. He dipped the brush in the pot and carefully painted the blue blob yellow. He dipped again. This time the brush came out purple. He painted the green blob with it. At the third dip, the paint was orange, and the orange went over the red blob. Hal did not touch the black blob. He turned away, and the end of his sleeve went into the paint pot along with the brush. What is that word? Botheration?
Yeah.
Said Howell, dragging it out. The trailing tip of the sleeve was all colors of the rainbow. Howell shook it, and it was black again. And, like, all of that, I don't understand what he did
Okay.
there.
So whenever there's a dial on the door,
Right.
the red was Kingshaven.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, Kingsport. And then it was Port Haven and the marsh. So, and the black blob goes to Wales. So he was coloring over the old indicators.
Right.
So the blue was, maybe it was the blue that was, yeah. I think that, no, no, okay. So blue had to have been the marshes. So that he painted over the previous indicator colors. So now they have, instead of the blue, yellow, and red, now they have yellow, or so they have yellow, purple, and orange.
But why
So it's
change
just
all of them? Weren't they just moving one place?
no, 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 because he was worried that she had discovered other locations, so he's moving all of the other except for the black one.
Okay.
So he's moving the Kingsport, the Port Haven, and the Marsh entrances.
Right. Okay.
He's moving them to other locations to hopefully give them a better chance of not being caught.
Gotcha. Okay. So
So
that's
yeah,
what he was doing
it
there.
was all
Okay.
three of them, and he didn't touch the one for Wales. That one
Which
is
makes
staying
sense.
linked.
Yeah. Different world, different realm. He's not worried about that one.
Yeah.
And then I love that Sophie, just in the middle of him fixing, changing everything, which suit is that really? Like, she's just unbothered by all of this. She's just like, I need to know about the suit. What
Yeah.
suit is it?
I forgot. Don't interrupt. He's so busy. He's like, I don't know.
He's like,
He's
it
like, quit
doesn't
asking
matter.
questions.
Who cares about the suit?
Sophie. Sophie cares about that suit so much.
She's so worried about the suit. But then yeah, then actually moving Calcifer. Um, Brushing the paint pot back to the bench, she picked up a small jar of powder. Michael wears a silver shovel. Silver shovel. I can say words. Um, and Michael brings the shovel, and Howell rests the shovel on his knee in order to chalk a sign on both handle and blade. He sprinkled red powder from the jar on it. He put a pinch of the same grains carefully in each point of the star and tipped all the rest in the middle. Stand clear, Michael, he said. Everyone stay clear. Are you ready, Calcifer? And then Calcifer emerged from between his logs in a long thread of blue flame. As ready as I'll ever be, he said, You know this could kill me, don't you? Look on the bright side, said Howell. It could be me it kills. Hold on tight. One, two, three. He dug the shovel into the grate very steadily and slowly, keeping it straight and level with the bars. For a second, he juggled it gently to get under Calcifer. Then, even more steadily and gently, he raised it. Mike was quite obviously holding his breath. Done it, said Howell. Logs toppled sideways. They did not seem to be burning. Howell stood up and turned around, carrying Calcifer on the shovel. Now, I mean, obviously, he's carrying Calcifer out as just like the little flame that he is onto it. But where do they go exactly? Because
What do you
like,
mean?
okay, uh, sorry, I gotta find that part again. I mean, he just takes Calcifer. Where is it? Where even is it? Yeah, so I mean,
So
Calcifer was
it's
nervous, but then it felt like the whole room turned with them. As they went through, yeah, he took a long, careful step into the chalked circle and then another into the center of the five-pointed star. There, holding the shovel out level, he turned slowly round one complete turn, and Calcifer turned with him, sky blue and staring with panic. Like the whole room turned with them, the dogman crouched close to Sophie. Michael staggered. Sophie felt as if their piece of the world had come loose and was swinging, jigging around in a circle sickeningly. She did not blame Kels for looking so frightened. Everything was still swinging and swaying as Howell took the same long, careful steps out of the star and out of the circle. He knelt down by the hearth and, with enormous care, slid Kelsifer back into the grate again and packed the logs back round him. Kelsifer flopped green flames uppermost. Howell leaned in the shovel and coughed. So that's like, what just happened?
okay. So they in the room, like the actual real room,
Yeah.
they made all these markings and whatnot, and they had made markings and measurements in the house in market shipping. So
Mm-hmm.
pretty much what they're doing is they're magically taking this room and like teleporting the whole room to market shipping. So it's they're taking all the measurements and all the markings and stuff that they made in the Port Haven house. They did the same markings, and so now when they did the shift, they pretty much copy and pasted the room into the market shipping house.
So now they're just in the market shipping.
Yes, so now they are that room truly exists in market shipping.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
They literally just picked up a room and put it. So what happened to the other room?
Now it's just empty. Now it's like a vacant house.
But like, I mean, the market shipping house though.
Oh, the outside stays the same, but the inside becomes that room.
Magic. Okay.
Magic.
I'm just gonna
When in
sum it up
doubt,
as
magic
magic.
it out.
Yep. um the room rocked and settled for a few instants while the smoke still hung everywhere. Sophie saw to her amazement the well-known outlines of the parlor in the house where she had been born. So wait,
Well, okay, now that they say that,
so did they just magically
I
teleport to the other building then?
well, I know that parts of it are still. Let's see.
Yeah, it's
The
so the
castle room seemed
same.
to wiggle itself into place inside the parlor. Okay, so if we're going off of my understanding, like from the movie, because the movie does this too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so what happens is it looks like the same room, but it kind of grows into the shape of the room that it's like being placed in.
Okay.
So it's still the same room that was in the like the castle and everything, but now it's kind of taking the shape of Sophie's house.
Okay.
So it's still the same room, just like it kind of like fits itself into the shape of the house.
Yeah. Okay. That makes more sense. Um, and then Howl. Have you done a Calcifer? Coughed Howl. I think so. Calcifer said, rising up the chimney. He looked none the worse for his ride on the shovel. You'd better check me, though. Hal helped himself up on the shovel and opened the door with the yellow blob downward. Outside was the street and market shipping that Sophie had known all her life. People she knew were walking past in the evening, taking a stroll before supper, the way a lot of people did in summer. Howell nodded. Calcifer shut the door, turned the knob orange down, and opened it again. A wide, weedy drive wound away from the door now, among clumps of trees, most picturesquely lit sideways by the low sun. In the distance stood a grand stone gateway with statues on it. Where is this? Said Howell. An empty mansion at the end of the valley, Kelsifer said, rather defensively. It's just a nice house you told me to find. It's quite fine. How did Calcifer find a house?
Magic.
Like, I have
I
questions.
I wonder if he could magically sense doorways.
Maybe. Since he's like the one kind of controlling the doors, it sounds. So he just picked a random door. But he can't
Probably.
leave. So how was he just like,
Well,
yeah, this
because
house has a lot of doors. It seems nice. Like,
I wonder. Well, because like when he can feel the outside, like he can kind of tell what's on the outside of some of the doors.
yeah,
Like whenever the scarecrow was like banging at the door, he's like, like he can tell kind of what's around. So I wonder if that's what it was like he was feeling out doorways and be like, this one feels nice.
maybe. Okay, yeah. I could picture that. I'm sure it is. Howell said, I simply hope the real owners won't object. I like that they just take a door from people and are
Yep.
like, we live here now. I want to know who lives here. Watch them like find the door to like the witch's house or something. That would be funny. Um, he shut the door and turned the knob round to purple down. Now for the moving castle, he said as he opened it again. It was nearly dusk out there. A warm wind full of different scents blew in. Sophie saw a bank of dark leaves drift by, loaded with big purple flowers among the leaves. It spun slowly away, and its place was taken by a stand of dim white lilies and the glimpse of sunset on water beyond. The smell was so heavenly that Sophie was halfway across the room before she was aware. She likes the scent of flowers, I think. I think she likes flowers a lot. She
She liked
mentions them a
making
lot.
like yeah, and she liked making the flowers for the hats. I don't think she liked the
Hmm.
hats themselves, but she liked the flowers.
Yeah. And she always mentions how like Howl smells like flowers. She mentioned how like even though she said it like kind of offhandedly, how she wanted a house with flowers, how she liked the house. Who was the person's name?
Mrs. Fairfax.
Fairfax. That's it. Miss Fairfax. Like she liked her house that was in flowers. I think Sophie just genuinely likes flowers, which is
That's
why I
her thing.
really
So
like a later part coming up. So, and then also Howl No Your Long No stays out of there until tomorrow. I feel like he wants to leave it as a surprise too for
oh
the
yes.
flowers, and it's so cute. And he shut the door with a snap. That part's right on the edge of the waist. Well done, Calcifer. Perfect. A nice house and lots of flowers as ordered. He flung the shovel down and went to bed and just fell asleep right away instantly. And I think they all just kind of went to bed. Though she did she talk to Calcifer again? I'm pretty sure she did. Yeah. So Calcifer, she said, "Were you ever a falling star?" Um, and why did she think of that? Reminder of something. Oh
Probably
yeah,
because of the
I think it was
poem.
just because of the like, yeah, just the poem and just like it just reminded her of the star that they had found with Michael. like her and Michael had found. Calcifer opened one orange eye at her. Of course, he said, I can talk about that if you know the contract allows me to. And Howl caught you, said Sophie. 5 years ago, said Calcifer, out on Port Haven marshes, just after he set up as Jank and the Sorcerer. He chased me in 7 League boots. I was terrified of him. I was terrified anyway, because when you fall, you know you're going to die. I'd have done anything rather than die. When Howl offered to keep me alive the way humans stay alive, I suggested a contract on the spot. Neither of us knew what we were getting into. I was grateful, and Howl only offered because he was sorry for me. So that's like what their contract was. He just said what their contract was. Like, Howl offered
Kind
to keep him
of.
alive the way
Kind
humans
of.
stay alive.
But
Like, it doesn't explain it, but that made me question, like, why would he want to break the contract then?
reasons.
Like if he wanted to stay alive, like is he just does he not want to stay alive anymore? Is that what it is for Calcifer? Like I know you know the
There's
answers and I'm just here questioning, but
it'll all get figured out.
yeah, I have questions. But yeah, and also I thought that was crazy. Huge like story bit, the fact that he's a falling star.
Hmm.
And it's just like whenever Howl was like so freaked out of them finding a falling star before, and like nearly catching one and whatnot. It kind of makes more sense why he was so freaked out because he's like, "Oh, you guys found another Calcifer." Like,
Yeah, it's
although, why do they call them fire demons then? If they're shooting stars,
because that's what they are.
but why are they fire demons?
Well, physically,
They're shooting
like
stars,
they came down, and if they fall into the water, they'll fizzle out and die.
right?
But I think they're like their energy, that's what it is. They're
Okay,
fire demons that are bound to the stars.
gotcha. That makes sense. Okay, but yeah, I really, whenever I read that, I was like, "Dang, okay, Calcifer is a falling star. Makes sense." Also, with the thing, as well, go and catch a falling star. For the very first thing, he caught the falling star. Just
Yep.
saying. For the poem. Yep. Um Neither of us knew we were getting into. I was grateful and how only offered because he was sorry for me. Just like Michael said, Sophie. What was that comment about? Is it just like,
Michael, remember that falling star? He felt sad for it.
yeah. Oh, okay, that's what he was referring to then. Okay. Michael felt bad for the falling star and was gonna,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So Howell just also felt bad for it. What's that? Michael said, waking up. Sophie, I wish we weren't right on the edge of the waste. I didn't know you would be. I don't feel safe. Nobody's safe in a wizard's house, Kelsper said feelingly. That's a comment. I mean, fair though.
Yeah.
um. Oh yeah. So Sophie, the next morning, she wants to see the flowers. Witch or no witch, she is determined, and I love it. She took out her impatience by fetching a bucket of water and scrubbing the chalk signs off the floor. I like that immediately. She's like, back to cleaning. If I can't see
Yep.
the flowers, I'm gonna clean.
Make more work for you later.
Yup. Hal came in while she was doing it. Work, 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 he said, stepping over Sophie as she scrubbed. He looked a little strange. His suit was still dense black, but he had turned his hair fair again. Looked white against the black. Sophie glanced at him and thought of the curse. Hal may have been thinking it too. What about the curse there?
Well, because the curse talks about let's see. Bum, bum, bum. Ride 10,000 days and nights, though that when thou returnest, wait, till age snow white hairs on thee.
Ah,
I love how it says 10,000 days, 28 years old, until you have white hair. I'm like, bro, making me self conscious.
right?
Like, I have white hairs.
That's why I color my hair. To be fair, I've had white hair since I was young. So I
I
think I
found my
started
first
getting
white hair 2 weeks after I turned 22.
I was 17.
Bruh.
I'm not even kidding you. I was 17 when I got my first white hair. I was like, no way.
I have several of them now, and I'm like, I'm just gonna leave them. I'm like, if I start coloring my hair now, it's never gonna end, and I'm like, that's just too much money.
I'm not. I'm coloring mine, but I like my what are they called? Not a barber, hairstylist. I like my
Stylist?
hairstylist. Yeah, stylist. That was the word I was looking for. Anyway, picked the skull out of the sink and held it in one hand mournfully. Alas, poor Yorick, he said. She heard mermaids, so it follows that there is something rotten in the state of Denmark. Now, is that just a.
So that's from Shakespeare, I believe. I think
I'm like,
that's
I know I heard
Hamlet.
that before.
I think it's Hamlet.
So he's just quoting that.
Yeah.
I'm caught in everlasting cold, but luckily I'm terribly dishonest. I cling to that. That's another thing. Why does he. Is there something about honesty in this? I didn't go
Um,
through it on my own because you know, didn't find the poem or anything.
all strange wonders that befell thee, and swear nowhere lives a woman true and fair. I think I know that it mentions something else. Um, let's see.
Wait, serves to advance an honest mind? Is that terribly dishonest?
Oh yeah, serves to an advance an honest mind. So he's clinging to the fact that he's dishonest, or at least he
Mm-hmm.
says that he is dishonest because that's a part of it is it that it's gonna make him honest. And he's just like, nope.
Is that why he has like some of the attitude and he doesn't like say any of
Probably.
the things that he means because he's trying to hold on to being dishonest? Like,
Probably.
it would make sense. Um, but his cold was getting better and he did not sound very convincing. He's just being dramatic. Oh, woe is me, I still have a cold. Ah.
Exactly.
And I also this. Okay, you should go back to Letty, she murmured. What's the matter? She said to Howl, Miss Angorian not doing well. And it's just like, she keeps wanting him to go back to Letty. She's like pushing it. She's like, don't you dare hurt my sister. Like, but he's not even
I
like mentioning it anymore. Does he even go see her anymore at this point?
Not as far as I know.
Yeah, he just like stopped. And who was Miss Angorian? Was that the person with Letty?
No. No, no, no. That's Miss Fairfax. Miss
Okay, that's what I thought.
Angorian is the one that he met in Wales, who is his nephew's
Oh, right.
teacher, who had the poem.
Right.
And
Okay.
she was the one seeing Ben Sullivan, who is actually the wizard Suleiman.
Who's missing, right?
Yes.
Okay. I thought there was that kind of connection, but yeah, I forgot her name was Miss Angorian. Okay. Dreadfully said Howl. Lily Angorian has a heart like a boiled stone. Let's go back in the sink and shout for Michael. Food, work, and then Michael just listens and does it. But at least Lily Angorian is not. So is he like going to try to woo her now? Is that what's happening? Or no? Is he just
He's
not
definitely
wooing
spending time
anybody?
with her.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, you know, Howl ate Michael running around for him. Uh, and that's whenever Howl beckoned for her to come and look at the shop. It was empty and echoing. Its floor was now tiled in black and white squares, like Miss Pentsteman. Is that how you say her name?
Yeah.
Pentstemons. Hall, and with shelves which once held hats had a vase of waxed silk roses and a small posy of velvet cowslips on them. Sophie realized she had expected to admire it, so she managed not to say anything. So, like, this is like her old shop. And she is, she's supposed to be impressed. She's like, wow, this is the shop that, I helped pick out and I suggested for flowers. And oh my gosh, you did so good, is what I think she's thinking she needs to say to Howl and what he's expecting. But
Well,
inside, she's
I
like, damn, I'm back at this shop. Like,
I think that it's it's particularly the vase of wax silk roses and a small posy of velvet cow's lips. That's what I think kind of triggers her, is because those are the flowers that she made for the hats. So he's like, look, look at this. And she's just, I think it kind of triggers almost a little bit of a trauma response. Like she's
Yeah.
back here with those things that she made. And the boys are expecting her to be like very excited, very happy, but she's just like, she's feels kind of like this dread now that
Yeah.
she's back, and
Exactly.
she's feeling the same things that she felt when she was young Sophie,
Mhm.
and like because she wanted flowers, and they're like, "Look, we found flowers, yay!" And she's just like, "I made those," and she's having a little bit of like a trauma response to it.
Exactly. Yeah, 'cause she's just like, what do you say to something that you made but you can't tell them about it? Like, I found the flowers in the work shed out at the back, said Howell. Come and look at the outside. He opened the door in the street, and the same shop bell tinkled that Sophie had heard all her life. Sophie hobbled onto the empty early morning street. The shop front had been newly painted green and yellow. Curly letters over the window said, H. Jenkins, Fresh Flowers Daily. Changed your mind about common names, haven't you? Said Sophie. For reasons of disguise only, said Howell. I prefer Pendragon. It's honestly fair. If you get a choice to have your name, why not make it something fancy and fun?
That just, I don't know why it reminds me of this story of this little boy got adopted, but he was like 6, between like 6 and 8, and his
Hmm.
parents let him name himself. And so he named himself Loki Sky Lizard, and he became a doctor. So now he is Dr. Loki Sky Lizard.
Dr. Sky Lizard, bro.
Yeah, for sure, for
Oh,
certain.
man.
People will name themselves crazy things, but yes, Dr. Loki Sky
Yes.
Lizard.
That's so funny. Uh, I also found it. Isn't his actual name Jenkins? Do I remember that right?
Yes.
I found
Yes,
that,
his
like,
real name is, it's not Howl like a wolf howl, it's
yeah,
Howell, so his name is Howell Jenkins.
I thought so. Isn't it kind of odd that he used his, like, real name more or less for the shop, though?
Eh, yeah, but nobody there, like Jenkins, I feel is like a kind of like Jones.
Yeah,
Like I don't think it's super like, well, I don't know if it's even a super common name in his, like in like the market chipping world,
yeah.
but I
It's
don't
a
think it's
common
too
I'm
bad.
not
Like,
saying it's, like, uncommon or anything, like, it's a common name in Wales where he's from and whatnot, but just, like, the fact that he used his real name whenever he's been using fake names everywhere, but he named this shop after his real name. You know what I mean?
eh,
But anyway, where do the fresh flowers come from? Sophie asks, you can't say that and then sell wax roses off hats. And the fact that she knew that, I wonder if he
yeah,
picked up on, you know what I mean? The fact that she knew that those hats were, or those roses were for hats. Wait and see, said Howell, leading the way back into the shop. They went through and out into the yard Sophie had known all her life. It was only half the size now because Howell's yard from the moving castle took up one side of it. So it literally did just like shove in the
yeah,
the entire like backyard and everything. Sophie looked up beyond the brick walls of Howell's yard to her own old house. It looked rather odd because of the new window in it that belonged to Howell's bedroom. It made Sophie feel odder still when she realized that Howell's window did not look out onto the things she saw now. She could see the window of her own old bedroom up above the shop. That had made her feel odd too because there didn't not seem to be any way to get up into it now, which is weird. It just got rid of all of the
magic.
rooms. I know, magic. I can't wrap my brain around it. um yeah, seeing her own home old her own old home this way was giving her fearsome mixed feelings. Things all very nice, she said. Really? Howell said coldly. Like, he can tell, I think, that Sophie is just like not like I don't think that she's against it. What did you say? You said a perfect word for it earlier.
I don't know.
I don't
Like,
remember the words you used, but you used a perfect word for like how she was feeling about it.
she's like having a trauma response.
Yeah, but I think Howell can pick up on that basically.
Yeah, so, Really, Howell said coldly. His feelings were hurt. He did so like to be appreciated, Sophie thought, sighing, as Howell went to the castle door and turned the knob purple down. So like he's trying to he's not gonna say it. He's trying to impress her.
Yeah.
He's like, look at the magic I just did. Like, look at it. I
Look, all
did
this
this for
impressive
you. Like,
stuff that I did with flowers just
yeah,
for you, and just, yep.
yeah. He's trying to impress her, and she's having like a traumatic response to it because she's back in
Hmm.
the place that made her feel useless, and so she's kind of freaking out,
Yeah.
and I think he thinks that she just doesn't like it, and so he's getting kind of huffy, and he's just like, "What the hell?" He's like, I did this for you. I was trying to be nice.
Yep.
You wanted a flower shop. I made you a flower shop." And so this is why I think like maybe he doesn't quite know the extent of it because
Hmm.
I think he would understand a bit more.
Yeah.
But he's genuinely hurt that she's not impressed by his showiness.
Yeah. But then they go to the next one, purple knob down, door open, big bushes loaded with flowers drift gently past and stop so that Sophie could climb down among them. Between the bushes, lanes of long, bright green grass led in all directions. Howl and Sophie walked on the nearest, and the castle followed them, brushing petals off as it went. The castle, tall and black and misshapen, though it was, blowing peculiar little wisps of smoke from one turret or another, look out of the place here. Did not look out of place here. Wow. Magic had been at work here. Sophie knew it had, and the castle fitted somehow. Um, but she did think this. Yeah, the place was truly marvelous. Between the bushes and their loads of purple, red, and white flowers, the wet grass was full of smaller flowers, pink ones with only 3 petals, giant pansies, wild phlox, lupins of all colors, orange lilies, tall white lilies, irises, and myriad others. There were creepers growing flowers big enough for hats, cornflowers, poppies, and plants with strange shapes and stranger colors of leaves. I don't know why I really liked that description, so I wanted to read it again, but
It's
I like it. It's just
because
pleasant.
like everything else, like especially the previous chapter with the chaos and like the fighting, and it's so like
Yeah,
visceral and angry, and now you're getting these beautiful flowers and it's peaceful and it feels magical and
exactly.
like it's such a juxtaposition from the last chapter, and it's just
Mhm.
like this complete 180. You're like, oh, the pretty flowers, and it's so colorful, and like Sophie can feel that magic has been here. So
Yeah,
it's you're getting immersed in this new feeling and this like sort of rebirth because you have like chaos, destruction, and now it's soft, gentle flowers.
exactly.
And it's a very lovely description.
Yeah. And also, thank you for hanging out, Alex. Have a wonderful night. Get some good rest.
Bye.
Um, it was not much like Sophie's dream of a garden like Miss Fairfax's. She forgot her gruffness and became delighted. I love that she actually likes the flowers.
Oh yeah.
Like, she might not have appreciated the shot, but she actually likes the flowers. You see, said Howl. He swung out an arm, and his black sleeve disturbed several hundred blue butterflies feasting on a bush of yellow roses. It's so pretty, man. We can cut flowers by the armload every morning and sell them in market shipping with the dew still on them. Um, if you come out here alone, bring your stick to test the ground with, Howl said, as well as springs and bogs, and don't go any further that way. He pointed southeast, where the sun was a fierce white disk in the misty air. That's the waste over there, very hot and barren, and full of witch. I like that description. It's just full of witch. Don't go over there. But okay, this part I thought was interesting. Who made these flowers right on the edge of the waste? Sophie said. Wizard Solomon started it over a year ago, Howell said, turning toward the castle. I think his notion was to make the waste flower and abolish the witch that way. He brought hot springs to the surface and got it growing. He was doing very nicely until the witch caught him. Miss Pentstemon said some other name, Sophie said. He came from the same place as you, didn't he? More or less, said Howell. I never met him, though. I came and had another go at the place a few months ago. It seemed a good idea. That's how I came to meet the witch. She objected to it. Why? Said Sophie. The castle was waiting for them. She likes to think of herself as a flower, Howell said, opening the door. A solitary orchid, blooming in the waste, pathetic, really. Um, and like, okay, that like bit there, several things, right? So Wizard Solomon, who's the missing dude, uh,
Ben
and
Sullivan, yes.
yes, was trying to make a waste flower. Now, his notion to make the waste flower, like, first of all, what is that? Is that
Okay,
just like,
so it's not a particular item, it's not like a breed of
yeah.
flower. To make the waste flower, he's trying to make it
Oh,
bloom.
okay. So he's
Yeah,
just trying
yeah,
to bring
so
like flowers into the waste.
yes,
Okay.
he's trying to make it flower as in, like, just make everything grow.
Yeah. Okay. Make it less of a waste and make it actually like a
Yes.
decent place. Um, but how would that abolish the witch?
So, I think her power, because she went to the waste, and I think a lot of, like, her power is it's kinda like the how I feel is the visual reputation of, like, the spreading of her evil, like, it's slowly killing things, and so
Right.
they're hoping to offset kind of that negative energy by, like, making the wastes rebloom.
Okay. That makes sense then. But then, okay, he said that he was doing very nicely until the witch caught him. And hasn't he said all this time that he has absolutely no clue what's happened to him?
Well, no, he knew that the witch caught him, but he just doesn't know what happened to him.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah, no, he knew that the witch had something to do with it. He just never actually figured out exactly what happened.
Gotcha. Okay.
'Cause
Um,
he doesn't know if he could still be alive somewhere, if he's, like, a prisoner, or if he's dead, or, like, he's
yeah.
just like, the witch got him."
The witch just got him and he's just gone. And then she likes to think of herself as a flower, a solitary orchid blooming in the waste. Is that just like, she wants to be special, the only one with magic, like the strong, powerful one? Is that basically what he's getting at there?
So, she's been around, like, she's had her fire demon
Right.
for 100 years. So she's potentially, like, she's older than that.
Mm-hmm.
So she's been around for a really long time, but every time she's described, she's young and beautiful. Orchids are also described as sort of unique and, like, exotically beautiful flowers. Like, they're
Right.
not necessarily the pretty, like, there are other flowers that are pretty, but, like, orchids just have this, like, exotic beauty. And so she fancies herself to be this flower, this, unique orchid that's so beautiful and, like, a kind of a symbol of power. Um and so that's how she sees herself. She's unique. She is powerful. She's exotic and mysterious and beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, no.
He's just like, nah, you're,
Pathetic.
yeah. um, we took another look at the crowd of flowers as she followed Howl inside. There were roses, thousands of them. Won't the witch know you're here? I tried to do the thing she least expect, Howell said. And are you trying to find Prince Justin? Sophie asked, but Howell slithered out of answering by racing through the broom cupboard shouting for Michael. So I feel like that's a yes. I think that he has been looking for him. I feel like he literally is, but he's just like, trying to be dishonest still so that he can't be an honest mind, even though he is.
He, he's just like, I love how it always goes back to he's slithering out of things. He's like, nope,
Right?
nope, nope,
He's a
nope.
slitherer outer.
Yep.
Yo, but
And
like
that
there was so
was
much in that chapter. I loved it.
it really was. And I really love how he was showing off for Sophie. He's just
Yeah.
like, look what I can do. He's peacocking. He's
Yep.
just like,
He literally.
look at me, look at me. He's like, look what I can do, and he's so excited because he's like, Sophie wanted a flower shop. I made a flower shop. Look at these flowers that I found. Look, isn't it pretty?
Look,
So
Sophie,
like,
look at everything I did for you.
yeah, he's being very showy about it, and it's just And he even put his own name on it.
Yep.
It's and it's H Jenkins. It wasn't Howell Jenkins, but it's H Jenkins. So he's
Yeah.
putting his own stamp of approval on this, which I
Yeah.
feel is another leaning towards him being like some part of him is being honest.
Yeah.
Like this is the truth that he wants. He wants
Exactly.
to have this flower shop with Sophie and Michael and Calcifer. Like a seemingly kind of normal life. And he even
Yeah.
planned it out. He's like, it's perfect. We can get the flowers from the field. And he waited because he was so excited and he wanted to
Yep.
show her the flower field. Like,
I
he's
love
so
that.
excited. And Sophie's just being so like gruff, and I get her having her kind of like trauma response, but
Yeah.
she's not seeing what's happening.
She's
Or at
not
least how
seeing how
I'm
he's
interpreting
yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not seeing what's happening for what it is.
Mhm.
She's not seeing that he's showing off for her and he's starting to be honest.
Yep. So
I
cute.
really liked these chapters.
I did too.
Like
Okay,
you
I will
go
say the
from
fighting one, the fighting chapter didn't have a whole lot like to it. Don't get me wrong. It was
yeah,
very well described, but it was literally just a fight. You know what
yes.
I mean? But the
Yes,
other
very
this
very
especially this
simply
last one.
justified.
Yeah, this last chapter had so many like little bits in it that just yeah, it was great.
I really liked all the chapters. I think
Same.
the fight chapter was kind of like you said, it's very well described, but it is kind of
It's just
it's
a
very
fight.
singular. There's
Yeah.
one scene happening.
Yeah.
Um and I
There's no in
think it's
betweens.
very
It's very direct like
yeah, I think it's very well balanced
oh
with
yeah.
the rest of the chapters that we did.
I fully agree, especially having the chaos and then going to like the flower scenes and stuff like you were saying.
Yes.
It's a very nice balance for it. I think it was fantastic. Yeah.
It's a very nice tonal shift between this crazy fighting, everything's destruction, you know,
Yes.
like the waves, and then going to this like nice like their new house and Howl being like excited and Sophie getting excited about these flowers. Like the
Mhm.
tone completely shifts and shows this other side of the characters that's developing.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
really
that
enjoyed it.
was I like these chapters. I can't wait to finish it. So
I'm
we're
so
doing
excited to finish it.
4 chapters next time. So we're doing 18 through 21.
And that is the final chapter, right? 21 is the last chapter? I'm
I
flipping over to the end to
believe,
see.
yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we were actually like
Yeah, chapter 21 is the last chapter.
okay. Sweet. So we'll be finishing the entire thing.
Yep. Finally. I'm excited. I love this book. And
I'm
then we get
so
to watch the
excited to
movie.
finish it. I can't wait to watch the movie too. I feel like the movie will also answer a lot of questions that I can't
Um,
picture in my head.
no. No, it won't.
Great.
Depending, because the movie is so different. Like the more I read into the book, it's so different.
Yeah,
Like honestly, you kind of have to appreciate both medias for what they are separately because
that's understandable.
if you look at them as if like an actual adaptation, it is not.
Yeah,
It's kind of sort of there, but very 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 different.
yeah,
So,
that's understandable.
yeah, you may or may not have some of your questions answered,
Yeah,
but until then, um, I am going to deafen and mute, do an outro, and then we will be off.
sounds good. Same thing.
Bye, chat!
Bye, chat. Alrighty, I am deafened and muted. I just want to say a huge thank you, you guys, to everybody who came and hung out today, listening to the spoiler alert bookcast. I really enjoy these. I love the books, and this book is so good. Like I was saying before, if you guys want to see, or if you want to participate in like the readings for the books that we'll be doing for it, you can go into the Discord. There's the Discord if you're not already a part of it. and you can get the literature roll, and that's where I'll update whenever we're doing the session for finishing up the final of this book. We will be starting a new book after this. We try to do these once a month at the start of every month, but it's just me and Rose. If we got to reschedule for one thing or another, we do. So we'll keep you updated in the literature section for that. Um, Not sure what the next book is going to be, but I am looking forward to finishing up Howl's Moving Castle, and we will be doing a Discord watch party for Howl's Moving Castle as well. But thank you all so much for hanging out today. I really appreciate it. I'm also going to give another shout out to Rose because she is amazing. Let's see. Hi, Lynn. Rose. Can I? There we go. Go follow her. She's wonderful. She's an amazing streamer. Definitely go check her out. But thank you all so much. I hope you guys all have an absolutely wonderful rest of your guys' day or night. And I will see you guys tomorrow for a lot of streaming. We're going to be practicing speedruns, playing Nancy Drew, and hopefully also getting to do some more co op with Rose, doing Roots of Pacha. Hopefully, we'll see. But thank you all so much. Have a great one, you guys. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.